So let's talk about something that happens to all of us. How do we get the jumbled mess of ideas in our heads out into the world as a clear, powerful message? One that actually connects with people. Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. Let's get into it.
You know that feeling, right? You say one thing, but the other person hears something completely different, and just like that, a simple chat turns into a huge misunderstanding. That space between what we mean to say and what people actually hear, that's where it all falls apart. But the good news is, it's a gap we can totally learn to bridge. And here's our game plan for how we're gonna do that. First, we'll dig into the core problem itself. Then, we'll get into the fun stuff, how to paint with words. After that, we'll cover the rules of the game, the structure that makes it all make sense. Then we'll get to a really advanced skill, reading the room. And finally, we'll wrap it all up and give you your very own communication toolkit. All right, first up, the core problem. Let's really get to the bottom of why our messages so often get lost in translation. And look, this isn't about being a bad communicator. It's actually a super common, kind of fascinating glitch in how we assume people are receiving our ideas. Man, we've all said this and we've all heard this. The thing over there. You know what? These are total communication killers. Why? Because the picture in your head is perfectly clear, but for the person listening, it's just a blank screen. You're basically forcing their brain to do all the work, and the odds of them getting it right are pretty slim. This kind of vagueness is the #1 reason messages just fail. So how do we fight back against that vagueness? Well, we have to start with the right building blocks. And that brings us right into our second section, learning how to paint with words. This is all about using the power of description to do the heavy lifting for your listener. Okay, so here's the ultimate goal. You want to create a shared mental picture, and descriptive words are how you get there. Think of them as the specific details, the adjectives, the precise nouns that turn a blurry idea into a high-definition image right inside your listener's mind. Honestly, being descriptive is an act of generosity. Now check this out. Look at the difference here. The report becomes the finalized quarterly report. Instantly, we know what it is and that it's done. The desk becomes the mahogany desk by the window. Now we can actually see it. We just went from a vague guessing game to a specific, actionable piece of information. That right there, that's the power of painting with words. But, just having a bunch of awesome descriptive words isn't quite enough. If you just throw them out there randomly, you just get a colorful mess. That brings us to our third section, the rules of the game. We're gonna look at the language structures that bring some much-needed order to our ideas. Just think of structure as the blueprint for your sentence. It's what organizes all those great descriptive words into a logical flow that the human brain is literally hardwired to understand. Without a good structure, even the best words just sound like a confusing list, adding to the noise instead of cutting through it. And you know what's cool? This blueprint is surprisingly simple. It's really just 3 steps. First, start with the subject. Who or what are we talking about? Then add the action, what's actually happening. And finally, give some context, the where, when, or why. Seriously, that simple recipe, subject, action, context, is the foundation for pretty much any clear message you'll ever want to send. Okay, so we've got our descriptive words and we've got our blueprint for putting them together. Now it's time to level up. This is where communication gets really, really effective, reading the room. This is all about tweaking your language for different people in different situations. It's where clarity and empathy meet. I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Truly great communication isn't just about what you say, it's about what you say to whom. The same exact message needs to be packaged in different ways if you want it to actually land with different people. Just take a look at this table. It makes so much sense, right? You wouldn't use that formal data-heavy language you use with your boss to tell your best friend about your weekend plans. And if you're explaining something to a new intern, you're gonna make it even simpler, clearer, and more encouraging. The core message might stay the same, but the style, the tone, the whole delivery has to change. And that brings us to our final section, where we put it all together. It's time to build your communication toolkit. Let's take everything we've talked about and turn it into a simple, practical process that you can actually start using, like today.
Hey, remember this little communication disaster from the beginning? Let's fix it with our new tools. The thing becomes the blue binder. Boom, descriptive word. The structure is super clear. Please get is our subject and action, and from the top shelf of the bookcase is our context. See that? We just transformed total confusion into a perfectly clear instruction.
So, let's recap what's in your new toolkit. It really comes down to 3 key things. First, use descriptive words to paint a vivid shared picture. Second, follow clear structures so your message is logical and easy to follow. And third, always adapt your style for your audience and the situation. If you can master these 3, you're going to master clear communication.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Using these tools, what's one conversation you have coming up today, maybe with a coworker, a friend, or someone in your family? What's one conversation that you can intentionally make just a little bit clearer? Because honestly, that's where it all starts, turning confusion into clarity, one conversation at a time.